Alright guys, I know it's been requested so many times, I've even had offers to help me with it. Well, I finally got my haircut. Thank you guys for that. It was grown so long, it was almost like I had been stranded on an island. Have you ever thought about that? How you'd cope if you were stranded on an island? Well, that's exactly what happened to the people on Easter Island, or Rapanui, a volcanic wasteland disguised as a paradise. It is believed that this island became host to a Battle Royale style fight for survival. But is that really true? The Polynesian people came to the island when we don't really know. I found answers anywhere between 400 AD and 800 AD, or even as far as 1000 to 1200 AD. Two very different answers, both of them coming from National Geographic. They managed to get to the island using double-hull canoe-like boats, bringing with them the Pacific rat. These rats have the capability of doubling their numbers every 47 days, which means that a breeding pair can become millions in just a couple of years. But we'll speak about them a bit more shortly. Oh my god, no! The people of Easter Island are well known for building their moai statues. They are made with a volcanic tuff, which is a soft rock created with layers of compressed ash, which is easier to work with. Almost all of the moai were made at Rapanui, and they were then moved 12 miles to be placed on sacred platforms called ahu. And even today we don't know exactly how they do it, which is where ancient alien theorists are quick to jump the gun here and claim aliens. Because, if I remember correctly, one of the earlier episodes of Ancient Alien Theorists said that there are no trees here to be used as rollers. But actually, if you look back through the history, there actually were trees on the island, but they were eventually removed. You can tell this because of the rock formations around the ancient tree roots.
These black lines trace the paths that the roots of the palm trees once made.
However, they didn't actually use trees anyway to move the moai statues, but I just thought it was funny that the ancient alien theorists like to pick and choose their evidence. They potentially had a better solution. The story stated that the moai statues walked to the platforms, which people generally disregarded as just stories. However, when using 3 groups of people, 2 groups swinging the statue to walk it and 1 group to stabilize, they actually could have walked these moais. Some of the evidence for this being used by the ancients comes from when they were being moved downhill. The moais that didn't make the journey fell on their front, but when they were moving uphill they fell on their backs. These moais that were left behind had a couple of differences as well. The eyes weren't completed yet, suggesting that they were carved in more detail once in place, so that the eyes could have ropes around them when being transported, as well as the base of these road moais was actually wider and shaped for movement. And just like with the eyes, they were carved out again once in place. These moais were created to represent their ancestors and eventually becoming a status symbol for the leader at the time, which drove the leader to try to be the one to create the biggest and the best statue for his reign. However, this peaceful paradise, where they had nothing better to do than build these giant statues, was all about to change. In fact, it had already begun slowly changing over time, potentially without them even realizing it until it was too late. These people liked living in the open and farming in the plains. However, without any streams on the island, they relied on the rainwater for their crops. Even though at one time there was forests that consisted of a type of palm tree, which has thin, fragile bark and a soft interior, which is not a great wood to use for canoes. And once their seaworthy boats lost their capability, they could no longer travel by water, making fish a harder resource to come by, and essentially stranding them on the island. And not that those trees could have been used anyway, because those rats that they brought with them devastated the reproductive cycle of those palm trees. And with the Polynesians clearing out the forest for agriculture, these forests very quickly vanished from the island. It is thought that eventually the pressure was too much And these people that lived in paradise for so long split off into separate factions. With the lack of food available, hunger was too much to bear, and they ended up resorting to hunting each other. And we can see this from the shift of creating the majestic Moai statues to the smaller, less inspiring skeletal figures. You can see the shift as well as they also went from farming on the lands and living in the open to hiding out in caves where not only tools were found, but also weapons made from obsidian. This idea of warfare, almost full-on Fortnite style, has actually been up for debate recently, and the whole idea has been changing. Newer suggestions state that these objects were not actually weapons. They were just different types of multi-purpose tools. Living in caves could have been the result of storms or other such events, and with the forest disappearing, well, the palm trees never really provided food. They were just in the way to be cleared for agriculture. The main idea now, with the problems that the Polynesians encountered, was actually the arrival of the Europeans in the 18th century, potentially bringing with them harmful diseases or viruses that the locals hadn't experienced yet. And the Europeans also started taking people from here by force to be put into slavery. And despite all of this, according to the 2017 census, the island has an estimated population of 7,750 people, which around 60% of those people are actually the descendants of the people who made those Moai statues all of those years ago. Almost all living in the village of Hangaroa on the sheltered west coast. So the people of Easter Island survived, and they still live there today. And a lot of people ask, why did they build the Moai statues almost like their life depended on it? They built nearly 1,000 statues in potentially less than 1,000 years. And I think if you're stranded on an island, especially for ancient times, you'd want to try and send out some form of SOS. So maybe the Moai statues was a way of saying, hey guys, we're here, we haven't got a boat, and the trees are rubbish. But either way, I think that this is the best example of a group of people surviving while being stranded on an island, because they're still there today. So if you guys have any questions, then let me know in the comments below, and if I can add them to a video I will, and if I can't then I'll probably just create a video on it. And then you'll have to subscribe and notifications turned on so that you can, well, see them come out. So thanks for watching, I'll see you next time, and have a great day.